there, I'm Kona Mahu. It is Saturday, February 15th, and I'm here with Donna D'Angelo from the Institute of Christ Consciousness. We are exploring divine and human connections. It's a lot of fun. So let me give you her email, Donna at institutechristconsciousness.org. Again, Institute of Christ Consciousness. You can find her at that same web address, find out all of the information, great information about the work that she does. But with no further ado, I present to you Donna D'Angelo. Donna, thank you for being with us today. Very exciting to explore this human divine connections. What do you have for us today?
Well, I hope everyone finds this information very helpful and edifying for their spiritual growth. And keep in mind that when we started these webcasts a couple weeks ago, it was with the intention to build upon the information of exploring these connections that we are developing with our spiritual and celestial helpers. This is an exciting time on the planet, and as you know, we're seeing many, many changes now at the material level, and this is going to continue to open us up to a much higher awareness of who we are and our place in the universe. And for many of you, you will be familiar with some of the information I'm sharing with you, but we also are posting this on our two video channels to help other individuals who may not be familiar with what we are doing at the Institute of Christ Consciousness to help them as well as to grow. So before we
Excuse me.
start in the presentation, I just would like us to take a few moments to center in your hearts and connect with that higher presence within you. Because that is the place where the information streams forth into your mind to build you in higher cosmic concepts of who you are and your relationship to all reality, as well as to provide you an experience to feel safe and loved and peaceful and connected. So let's just take a few deep breaths and center yourselves in your heart. Okay. The theme of today's presentation is co-creating in the spiritual dimensions for greater planetary rehabilitation. And over the years, we at the ICC have been collaborating with many higher spiritual personalities who do not live in the physical domain, but live in a domain that is beyond our physical, visual, and auditory senses, to provide us with information that will help us understand the various aspects of the nature of reality so that we here on the earth plane can receive the information and co-create with our helpers and the information they are giving us to create a higher spiritual culture on the planet. And so just going into a little bit of the background, in our last presentation, we talked about the new circuits that were in place to help us outwork the deviation of the divine plan of evolution that was given to this planet many, many thousands of years ago in our ancient past, where unfortunately we deviated from those plans of evolution, but that was not because we humans did that. That was put in place by spiritual personalities who did not like the divine plan and took us off that divine timeline to evolve. So what has been happening over the last 30 some years is to restore the basic connections that our planet has to the universe, in which we are one of many millions of planets and have a connection to spirit sources who act as our divine parents to shepherd us to a higher level of life. So what first happened around 30 some years ago, oh gosh, maybe it's a little bit longer than that, maybe some 40 years ago, is that the circuitry connections that were disconnected at the time of the rebellion were restored. And then once they were restored, there had to be corrections conducted in the circuits of human mind and connecting into memory because we were still very much attached to the rebellion mindset, which is a deviant way of looking at reality. And so now many of these circuitry corrections have been conducted enough to um, uh, moderate the influence of the rebellion and to open us to the enhancements and the corrections in the planetary memory circuits. So I'm just going to go through a little bit of what was conducted over the last, say, 30 years to help us get back into our correct evolutionary trajectory. So one of the things that happened from those who rebelled and created a lot of interference within our mind circuits, our consciousness, because these spiritual beings understood how human mind and body functions, and they did their utmost to interfere with our natural relationship to our divine sources. So one of the major ones was to separate us from our spirit sources in our consciousness. So the interference, like static within our minds at the conscious level to hear the divine inner voice is now being restored. So you might say that there is more spiritual and mental bandwidth in order for us to hear the voice of God within our conscious minds. Another element that is now being corrected and still is in the process is the influence of conflict and coercion to keep us in a state of not being very receptive to others, to beholden to very authoritarian, negative authoritarian energies that tell us what to think instead of helping us think for ourselves to discern what is true. And so that circuit is now being corrected to help us become more collaborative with one another and to move out of distrusting one another, that we may more naturally cooperate with others. And then another level of disconnection was to trust in ourselves, to help us overcome our feelings of unworthiness in who we are, and to feel our divine value of who we are as sons and daughters of God. This is a very important reconnection to opening us to trust in our higher selves, which are a part of our human composition and our human nature, and we have access to that. But there were circuits within us in our minds and bodies that were interfered with to help us feel this sense of true value and purpose of why we are here and our relationship to all reality. And they're also now restoring the disconnection from the higher realms to move us out of being so materialistic and planetary centric that this planet is the only planet in all creation, which is not the truth, to help us reunite with our universe that is teeming with life at all different levels, especially to help us understand the spiritual hierarchy or composition of the higher realms so that we can once again feel that we are part of something so wonderful and grand and beautiful, and that we have the right to co-create with the universe who we are and offer our gifts in service to the evolving nature of our world to create this higher planetary culture. And so the human mind has actually been gravitating, if you will, toward violation of divine will, which some people might call evil or sin. And so in this circuitry connection, what is happening in our mind is this spiritual reconnection is providing us more spiritual gravity so that our minds are naturally being drawn toward truth, recognition of truth, appreciation of beauty, and a willingness to do things of goodness, to be kind and loving towards others, which is reflective of the divine ways of life. And then one of the other elements that is being corrected is to help us open to our natural intelligence. And by that, I mean is our creators have given us this wonderful um, aspect of our consciousness where we are actually connected to the higher realms of spirit. And our natural intuitive faculties were interfered with. We have been kind of what you might call shut down from growing in our abilities to perceive intuitively through faith and trust. And we have been now living in a culture that is trying to get us to be more focused on the external world, especially what our planetary culture teaches us, especially through technology. And this is going to interfere with how we actually use our mental and emotional faculties. So we are now being opened to return to our natural intuitive faculties so that we have to rely less on the outside intelligence of what our planet teaches us into what our spirit sources teach us. So there are spiritual personalities involved in this process to help us open up to these higher circuits of spiritual energy, spiritual bandwidth that correlates and calibrates into our consciousness system, how we think, how we feel, and how our bodies respond. And so, from the foundational level, you might consider that we are children of a divine mother and father who are the co creators of our universe. The Divine Mother can be considered the womb of consciousness. She is actually the source of human consciousness, or that which we call mind. We live within her, and she has given us 7 circuits to give us the ability to think, feel, and act. And our connection to her is one of the reasons that we're seeing so much of an interest in the divine feminine. And it is a return to her because she disconnected us from the circuits of her being partially so that our rebellion wouldn't spread into other parts of the universe. And for those who may be hearing this for the first time, this is recalled in the wonderful revelatory text called the Urantia book. And Kona can put that link in the chat for other people to see. This is a very foundational level of our intrinsic human nature. And so the Divine Mother feeds us with that mind energy, that consciousness energy, expanding our capacity for our intellectual development and emotional ability to feel more loving and patient and kind, and to grow in the divine characteristics of our Divine Father, who had actually incarnated on this planet as Jesus. In the higher realms, he is known as Christ Michael, and he is what you might call the pattern of our human characteristics. He is a divine being, so he is completely 100% loving and trustworthy and patient, and he fully understands us because he was here as a human. He understands human nature, and he understands all the challenges that we go through. So one of the ways in which we co-create with our celestial helpers is by developing a relationship to our divine parents, and to sit in a place of meditation and just invite them into your mind and heart, like saying, Mother and Father, I don't really know you. Show me who you are. I need your love. I need your compassion. I need your understanding, especially for things that I do not understand myself. And they will help you. They will respond into you. But it does take time so that you are able to pick up on their signals And you do that in a place of meditation or stillness where you quiet your mind and simply receive through faith, especially when you are in a place of being faithful as a little child.
So, Donna, you've given us a lot of information. Can I ask you some questions?
Sure, we can go ahead with that. Yes.
Okay, and then I know you have more for us. In the information that you've given us, you sound almost like an electrical engineer. You've talked a lot about circuitries. We have circuits, the planet has circuits. Could you give just a little bit of a breakdown of what it means for the planet to have circuits and then also for us to have circuits so that people who are not familiar with this language might understand?
Sure. Well, consider that we are all composed of frequencies. And it is very similar to like, well, I guess one of the best examples I can give you is a house. So we live in homes and they have wiring. They have electrical wiring, so we have power uh, to do the things that we need to do. Well, if you consider that we are all living compositions of energy, they all operate at different frequencies. There's spiritual frequency, mental frequency, emotional frequency, and physical frequency. And there is communication um, pathways between all of those levels of frequencies. And so what I see is these lines of energy, like spirit fibers that connect into our mind and create a calibration to raise the frequency level of thoughts and feelings and the body's functioning up into a higher level where you can connect to the divine patterns for your life that have been given to you by your creator. And so we are this very, very vast composition of all of these different frequencies. And these frequencies run through circuits. Just like in a house, you have wiring that runs through the walls, and you connect into the power source of the home through electrical plugs and wiring. So the wiring could be considered circuitry. So I could use that word instead. We are wired, we are hardwired for these energies that provide us with information. Information flows through these wires or these circuits.
Well, and it sounds
How's
like we
that? Or do
have
I need
this.
to expand
No,
on that
that's
a little bit
great.
more?
And it sounds like we have an intercom system where we can
I
communicate
think you're
with.
muted, Kona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And it sounds like we have an intercom system in which we can communicate not only with each other, but then the source that's outside of the house or in these other dimensions. Can you talk a little bit about how we're wired to communicate with spirit?
Yes. So, in considering that we have all these different frequencies within us, it is important to open yourself up to receive the information that exists in the higher realms. You might say there is a cosmic internet where there's tremendous amounts of information in the universe. There is so much for us to learn about the nature of reality and the source of life. There are tremendous um, things that we need to learn about other planets in our universe, the higher realms of creation in which we can connect to them. And when you are in meditation, it's like you are preparing your inner circuitry, your inner wiring to elevate to those higher levels. But the mind and the body need to be quiet because the mental current running in our minds and bodies from our planet can be very they can be considered like interference or static. So when you turn on a TV and you have no signal, there's static there. So you have to allow that static to clear by having a more stilled and quiet mind and body so that that information can start to come through. It's a natural process that we are 100% connected to these circuits. It's just that the way we have been conditioned to think and all of the different levels of communication frequencies on the planet have not been directed toward our spiritual development. They've been more directed to our material development and technologies that are designed to keep us beholden to what our planetary culture teaches us, which is basically separation from our spirit source, and also to keep us in a state of impoverishment, spiritual impoverishment, so that we do not develop our mindal and our emotional potential to become more Christ-like. And so this is where we have to do a lot of the clearing of the interference that is done in meditation, not just by us, but our divine parents help us with that. And also, we have other spiritual helpers who are charged with clearing the human energy. Basically, is separation, authoritarianism, that you will believe what someone else tells you rather relying on your own inner truth that comes from your creator, and to feel valued and loved and purposeful. It serves the rebellion agenda, and you can read more about that on the Institute of Christ Consciousness website under the Planetary Rebellion section, where we were disconnected from all these circuits. But now that the circuits are in place and there is this wonderful reconnection underway, more people are waking up to something that is beyond them. And this is where the phase we are right now.
So that
That was a
so
little bit
that's
of a long answer.
No, it was a great answer. It sounds like we got miswired during the rebellion so that we could not properly connect in order to fulfill our potential. And now the rebellion is being cleared out, and those who have our best interests in mind are paving the way for us to be rewired to be able to fulfill our human potential. And what we're talking about next is you were telling us about our divine relationships that are part of this rewiring process. So thank you for breaking that down for us a little bit more. Go ahead.
Thank you. So you might consider that the work we do at the Institute of Christ Consciousness is to bring back the correct structure and the higher wiring that each person needs under the over control of one's indwelling spirit, who knows your divine life plan and purpose and wants to help you achieve that which you are here to do as a child of God. Because God works through us, and because our creator is not in a physical body like we are, God needs us to fulfill those human purposes of creating what you might call a heavenly culture on the planet. So the divine parents are the foundation of our human consciousness and our human characteristics. And now I'm going to go into another level. And this is the level of two beings who, and you can read about this in the Urantia book in part 3, The Garden of Eden and Adam and Eve. Now, this may be somewhat shocking for new listeners to hear, but Adam and Eve and the story in the Bible is vastly different than the Urantia book's account of Adam and Eve. Adam and Eve originate from our divine father, Christ Michael, as the pattern for male and female energies and male and female genders. They are divine beings. They originate in a level of perfection, and they leave their level of perfection to come to an evolutionary world to biologically uplift human DNA through many, many years of genetic evolution to infiltrate human DNA and upstep it to a level where we are more healthy and vibrant and have certain higher qualities like a sense of altruism, to give us more of appreciation of beauty, a sense of wanting to be more cooperative and harmonious with other people. And so during about 37,500 years ago, when they were on the planet developing their higher culture, they were unfortunately co-opted by the rebellion, and they deviated or defaulted from their divine plan. And there's a long story in the Urantia book that you can read about. I'm not going to go into all that detail because it would take a long time. But they are now back on the planet in a higher form, and you can communicate with them, and they can feed you with their higher nature and infiltrate energies into your DNA structure. It's like they come through this violet light infusion that is grafted onto the DNA and starts to elevate that to a higher level. And when you feel them in you, there's this wonderful sense of an evenness. They are so loving, and you feel a sense of being connected to an energy that is so comforting and soothing. And like I said, there's an evenness. They are harmonious. They are not antagonistic with one another, sometimes like men and women are. They are completely complemental. And that was the intention for the human genders to replicate their divine model through many years of evolution. But we have access to them now in meditation, where you can sit with them and just receive what they want to give you. Now, this is a very big enterprise or endeavor on our part as humans, because this is information we have been disconnected from many, many thousands of years. And so within our DNA, there has been something engineered to keep us from growing spiritually. And now this is all being corrected to help with our spiritual and moral development, because our technological and material development has led us to this place where we can now destroy this planet if humanity wants to, but that is not the divine plan for this world. The plan for this world is one of redemption and to bring us back to our divine plan of evolution, which is now in place. So, any questions about Adam and Eve that come to mind?
Well, this is
I'll
quite
just stop here for a moment.
This is quite a different story than, just like you said, what's happened, what we know if you come from a biblical background. It's very different than what we know from the biblical story, with the exception that the biblical story tells us there was a fall. So we know that there was a fall. It's just the Urantia book seems to give us a bigger picture of what that fall really meant and what it was all about. So it's nice to know that there's a bigger side of that story. It brings up some interesting thoughts on my part, which is, so Adam and Eve left, and they're back, which means there's some sort of life after death, perhaps. And many people may be having a question as to, okay, so we die, where do we go? What happens to us? Because if Adam and Eve can come back and be with us in a spirit realm, then, what about these other divine beings? Did they live before? What does that look like? Can you maybe answer some of those questions for us, Donna?
Of course.
I know you
Big,
can.
big questions and lengthy answers here. So consider that our planet is operating at a material level, but there are other dimensions. And, some people in New Thought consciousness are very much attuned to this concept of the fourth and the fifth dimensions. And so this is what you might consider to be a part of that. And these higher levels of frequencies, there are planets, there are worlds. They may not look the same as ours, they may not be material, but they could be of a higher substance, even though it's not the same as our corporeal bodies. And what we call death is not really death, it's just transferring our consciousness from our hardwired physical minds and bodies to our soul bodies that ascend into the higher levels of reality. Our higher levels of reality are this bandwidth where Adam and Eve live. That's one of the dimensions, but there are other dimensions and other levels of worlds of a different higher substance beyond that one first level that we ascend to after physical death. We pick up exactly where we left off. We are still conscious that we are the same person. We're just in a different form, a different body. It's almost the same analogy of a caterpillar going into the cocoon to emerge as a butterfly. And we are now in when we go through physical death, we are leaving the shell of the human body to open up to our soul body. And our soul body is the one that goes on into other levels, unites with our indwelling spirit, so that we are perfected in always doing what you might call the divine will and operating in the divine ways of life. So there's nothing to fear about the fact that this world is all there is, because it isn't. This is just the incubator for our souls to have human life experience that we can take with us on our long ascension journey to become perfect in the way that our Creator is perfect, based on the spiritual energies and the helpers we have within us to grow us in that way, so we reach a higher level of self-perfection, but that happens over a long period of time. So it's a wonderful process that has been given to us, and now we are in the progress of that process manifesting on the planet to help more people go on this journey of becoming what you might call self-perfecting. But one of the first steps is to get this reconnection to the higher sources so that you get the help you need, the support you need from our universe, who loves you and wants to support your inner growth. And this is where we are right now as a planetary culture. We're in this critical window of letting go of the past, what no longer serves us, and being drawn like spiritual gravity to a dimensional level of life.
So that's some really good news because, a lot of folks think, well, what is life after death, or there's nothing. But what you're saying is our divine human connection is really to help us not just through this lifetime to reconnect to our future, but to really connect to the divine for our future. So this isn't just it. We're not just doing it here, but the process starts here. And it sounds like we're surrounded by our divine parents and Adam and Eve. And were you going to talk about any other beings that surround us and help us through this process?
Yes, the next level is our planetary seraphim. So consider the micro and macrocosm. We are, as individuals, the microcosm, but we also contribute to the macrocosm of the evolution of our society. And one of the ways that our divine parents have given help to us is by offering us seraphim, certain seraphim or angelic orders that are charged with helping humans ascend to higher levels of spiritual receptivity and mental and emotional development. And so the seraphim function in two levels. They can function as guardian seraphim, where they are protecting us and helping us as individuals. And then there is another level of planetary seraphim who work in the aggregate of our social institutions. And there are 12 sections or sectors of planetary seraphim who are charged with functioning in social institutions, say, for example, governance or business and industry or philosophy and religion or health and human maintenance. These levels of planetary seraphim are able to collaborate with human mind. And this is one of the things we also do at the Institute of Christ Consciousness, to connect you with the planetary seraphim and to help you learn how to collaborate and cooperate with them. These are wonderful angelic beings. They operate in what you might call a level that's just beyond our conscious mind. You can make contact with them, like I said, through meditation. And the more circuitry enhancements you get, and we're going to be doing a meditation at the end of my presentation to help you get more of that higher bandwidth. So it's easier to connect with them. Because it has been very difficult for human mind to make that connection, because the bridge, if you might say, of conscious communication with the higher realms was broken because of the rebellion. And now that bridge has been built, and it's a lot easier for people to tap into that, especially if they have been comfortable or familiar with quieting the mind. So the planetary seraphim are here to collaborate with we humans to feed us information of how we can build a higher social order. So if you consider that right now we are in the process of letting go of these ideas that we should live in poverty, or we should be beholden to certain authoritarian structures that tell us what to do and what to think. The planetary seraphim are here in many ways to adjust our thinking and to come into those collective mindsets, because we are all attached to certain belief systems that have developed over the evolution of this planetary culture. And many of the big aggregate belief systems we live in are antithetical to the way things operate in the universe and all creation and all life. That is because of the planetary rebellion. So they are here to work in human mind, human consciousness, to correct the circuits, to open up the bandwidth so they can feed us with the information we need. So when you consider that we are now in this awakening process, people are intuitively feeling that something isn't right, and that they're on this journey to find out who they are and what has happened on the planet. Many people are searching the internet for answers, alternative information that go against a narrative that might be considered a planetary orthodoxy that's coming from the rebellion mindset. The planetary seraphim are here to work in the collective level of our planetary consciousness to correct what is out of balance, erroneous concepts, what you might call lower emotions that keep us feeling separated and unworthy and lack of purpose. They are here to create a higher bandwidth, if you will, of information so that we can collaborate with them, receive the information we need to bring down the divine patterns, divine governance, divine economy, divine religion, divine, what you might call health and healing. This is all now being made available to us. Had this planet not participated in the rebellion, we would have had none of these social problems that we're encountering now. And so we are in this corrective phase of getting everything back in working condition, according to the divine plans of evolution. And then the last level I'll talk about is our universe brothers and sisters who have come from planets that have been evolving more normally, and they have tremendous experience with the higher realms of life, and they are flocking en masse to communicate within our minds and to feed us with the information we need, so that you have, like, in addition to having connection to your own indwelling spirit of the creator within you, your relationship with your divine parents, opening up to Adam and Eve, the planetary seraphim, you can have a personal teacher or teachers who have great experience with life and want to help you move out of this planetary negative mindset and open up to your true purpose, your potential, and just to give you a sense of you've got a buddy by your side who cares about you, who loves you, who wants you to grow spiritually, emotionally, morally, in integrity, and in an alignment with your own divine life plans. So these are some of the ways in which we can collaborate with the spiritual dimensions for the greater planetary rehabilitation. And I just want to emphasize the fact that as individuals in the microcosm, it is important for us to open to our soul purpose because that contributes to the macrocosm where we are all learning how to grow together, cooperate with one another, and to bring in these divine energies that will help us fulfill the divine plans for this planet so that not only are we reaching a higher level of spiritual integrity, the planet is also. And there is there's a synergy there, and they work synergistically together. So the more you grow, you're adding more consciousness bandwidth of love and peace into the planet, and that is helping the planetary cultures also grow in those ways. So I'll stop there and see if there are any other questions or comments.
That's a lot of information, and it sounds like we're pretty lucky to have help from all across the universe, or maybe even multiple universes. It's very interesting that we're a planet that had a rebellion, but it sounds like not every planet goes through this. It seems like there are planets that develop normally and naturally without a rebellious atmosphere, and life on those planets might be quite different from what we've experienced. I mean, that sounds like maybe a little bit of paradise somewhere else, and we're really going through the rough of it now. But I'm encouraged by everything that you're telling us, as far as we have lots of help around us to get out of this phase that we've been in, kind of in a human evolutionary rut, you might say. So we're upstepping a little bit.
True. And for the people who will be interested in what we're doing at the ICC, we do have a Sunday call on the second and fourth Sunday of the month where we are actually collaborating with our Divine Mother and Father and the Planetary Seraphim. And that's in the chat as the Planetary Transformation Podcasts. And if you click on that link, you can see some of the themes that we've been co-creating. And this has been going on for more than, well, I'd say more than 15 years, but the most recent ones for the last couple of years are posted on the website. They've all been building to correct the circuits, to bring in these higher frequencies, because this is a collaborative endeavor between humans and higher spiritual personalities. They need our willingness to say, yes, we want these changes, and they will help bring in the information we need so we can plug into that and pick up on the signals of our mind, the inspiration that we're getting. And many people are getting inspired now. And this is so wonderful to see people
Mhm.
waking up and becoming aware of who they are. So also, I do
Mhm.
want to mention to other people who are not familiar with the Arancha book that you can read about the level of reality where the rebellion occurred at one spiritual administration higher than the planet. It's called the system. And the head of that system was called Lucifer. And he was a real spiritual being who decided he did not like the divine plan. And he had upwards of the potential of 1,000 worlds under his administrative jurisdiction. And he took our world and 36 other planets into this deviant pathway. And now we are in the midst of getting this all corrected through this wonderful human and divine collaboration. And I like to talk about this because so many people are interested in what you might call our ETs, extraterrestrials, and there are some that are involved in this, but most people are not aware of the spiritual hierarchy that is involved in helping us get back on track. And this is where I want to focus the information to help more people understand that you can have access to these beautiful divine and spiritual beings who are so loving, so supportive, so committed to helping us outgrow all of this negative energy that we've been living in for so long. And now we're seeing some evidence at the physical level where more people are waking up and hungry for this higher information to support them.
Well, I'm so
Okay.
grateful, Donna, that you've got this information for us. The link is definitely in the chat for those who want to find out more about those podcasts, but also, just the work that you've been doing, you said for 15 years. So the planetary transformation calls that's happening on the Sunday, folks can sign up to be a part of that as well from your website, can't they?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. And if in so doing, if you cannot come on the call live, you can get a recording link and you can listen to all the podcasts on the website too to become familiar with the high level of frequency that we're bringing in. And many people remark that it's a very powerful spiritual experience for them and that they're feeling an incredible upliftment, kind of like what you would think of out of the muck and mire of our everyday life into a level where, you feel more peaceful and more connected to great information that you need for your spiritual growth and healing in different ways.
So, just as a reminder, this is Donna with the Institute of Christ Consciousness. You can see her email address above. Her email is or her website is institutechristconsciousness.org, as you can see there. And these forms, you can sign up on the website to participate in any of the calls, including the webcast. And then also, I know we're going to go into our meditation, but this webcast and all of the work that Donna does is made possible exclusively through donations. She has some fabulous donors that have supported her for decades, and we ask that if you would like to see this work continue and to grow and expand, to also please make a donation that you can do right there on the website. And we appreciate that very much. So, Donna, I know you're anxious to get to the meditation. That's how we connect into this wonderful circuitry that helps us grow and evolve. And so let's go into that meditation.
Thank you. I always like to do meditations after presentations to secure the information into the mind, to the consciousness, so that these words are becoming what you might call a living energy system within your being. So just take a few deep breaths and settle back into the position you're in. If you're reclining or sitting, just get more relaxed. Mother and Father, we call upon you as your children to provide us with more of the circuitry enhancements that we need to develop our minds and bodies to conform to the divine plans within us. You know so well the levels of interference that we encounter within how we think, how we feel, how we act, and how we treat our bodies. And we thank you for clearing out the interference through your love, your light, your life energies, gently upstepping us into those higher dimensions where we can become more congruent and coherent with all of these different bandwidths within us, spirit, mind, and body. You know what we need, and we thank you for providing us with an enhanced ability to perceive the divine inner voice and to help us make contact with our Adam and Eve biological uplifters, our planetary seraphim, our universe brothers and sisters who love us and want to help us grow in this way. So we just sit in this place of receptivity now and ask for your grace and mercy to flow through us and feed us in our minds, our hearts, our souls, and our bodies. Thank you so much. And we receive now. Just move into that place where you sense you are being like a little child, small boy and girl, just exploring life for the first time. And there is a wonderful, safe, and loving environment around you. And you feel secure and trusting in that environment because that is truly the place in which you live. The planetary culture is not the true picture of reality. And by opening up to this higher dimension in our meditation, You are rising above the fray and getting more connected into the realm where you can grow freely, securely, and faithfully in your higher nature and higher self. So just receive now. This is part of your divine inheritance being restored to you. You have a right to receive these higher frequencies that will render your mind and body more receptive to the light and the healing that you need. Everyone needs to be healed and to receive their divine inheritance on this planet. Regardless of how you may have conducted your human affairs, you are loved, you are valued, you are worthy, and you have a wonderful purpose for being here. However, it is up to you to open the door to what is available to you. Jesus said, I stand at the door and knock. What was he opening you to? This wonderful dimension of eternal life. And when you step out on the path, what I shared with you earlier today are some of the helpers you have access to help you make those faith steps forward on your path. You are not alone, nor do you have to do this alone, but you have to make the effort and be willing to open the door and say, yes, I am ready to step out on this faith path and be guided into developing my human potential, to grow my soul, and to become more of who my Creator has destined to be. This is what you are embarked upon, and it is a wonderful journey, and you will encounter many helpful personalities, some spiritual and some human, to escort you on your path. Never are you alone. You are always welcomed to journey in faith along this way. The more you claim your right to your divine inheritance, the more the door opens, and this inner dimension in you will reveal tremendous new information for you that will astonish and amaze you, fill you with wonderment and joy, and give you a deeper sense of peace and security so that you may live here in a way that is mostly beyond what you might call average humans experience. And thereby, in living in this way, you become a living inspiration to those around you who want to feel composed and secure through this time of great instability and insecurity. When the old ways are interrupting our security and our connections to these old foundations that are no longer serving our higher good. And you can help them find their own stability by encouraging them to go in and connect with their spirit resources that are so wanting and waiting to guide them forward. Mother and Father, as these circuitry enhancements continue to be made, I ask that they be more fully anchored and grounded into the human mind and memory system, bringing more of your children out of the old ways of the past, of separation and conflict, into the ways of harmony and peace, love and kindness and tolerance, that we may grow in the fruits of the Spirit and be those shining beacons of inspiration to our brothers and sisters. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Mother and Father. Thank you for all of the wonderful helpers you have given us to make this tremendous stride forward in our planetary and personal evolution of soul growth. And in the coming days, may each person who is listening to this call and recording have greater inner bandwidth to perceive the call of spirit within and to embark upon that mighty path of soul growth, and to help them know that they are being guided faithfully, step by step, day by day, to become a living expression of the divine love that lives within them. And I thank you for your ministrations to my brothers and sisters. And I thank you so much for this opportunity to share these concepts with them for their edification. And we now conclude. Thank you. So take a moment to come back. And if anyone has any final comments or questions, be happy to entertain them before we end the call.
Yes, folks, if you have any questions, you can either come on screen or put your questions in the chat for review. Also, we'll give you the opportunity to communicate with Donna after we stop the recording and end the programming. But right now, Donna, I don't see anyone with questions. But I do want to give you so much thanks and appreciation for bringing this message to us today, for not just those who are present, but those who will watch this recording in the future. And thank you for all the work that you do.
Oh, it's my pleasure and joy. It is wonderful to share this, and I hope everyone receives what they can, because this was big information, so you don't have to take it in all at once, and you can certainly listen to the recording as many times as you need. So I wish everyone a most blessed and peaceful day, and I thank you for your kind attention to this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. And if you'll just stay with me, and folks, you can stay on the call. I'm going to close this out. And once again, this is Conversations with Kona with very special guest, Donna D'Angelo with the Institute of Christ Consciousness. And we'll be back with you in 2 weeks.